We'll do it tonight, yeah. From the back to the left to the right, yeah. All them girls looking hot, looking tight, yeah. Come on and move from the wall to the light, yeah. I don't know, maybe you didn't hurt me. Gonna lose it tonight, yeah, no mercy. We're gonna turn it up crazy. We're gonna turn it up, ooh.
Let me see your hand, let me see your hand. Let me see your hand, let me see your hand. Let me see your hand, let me see your hand. Let me see your hand, let me see your hand.
Let me see your hands, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands, let me see your hands. We gon' run like a dance, no care. Poppin' bottles, you know how we do.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
I'm Ron.
And today we are here to talk about Insecure. We are at the midpoint of the season. This is season 5, episode 5. And this one was titled Surviving Okay. Wow. There was definitely an interesting start to the episode. I mean, Molly was getting it on. And
Getting her groove back.
Getting her groove. Yeah, she's certainly surviving okay.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, who is this dude? I was thinking it was going to be the dude from last week.
Yeah,
Me too. I thought it was Nathan's boy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she said it was a random dude. Oh, okay.
Molly be pushing it. I mean, she pushing up on it. I mean, look, she make men feel jealous. I mean,
Listen, I guess she figured, she and Andrew were through, and she went back to her little hoe phase.
I don't know who she went back to.
Yeah.
It was random. As far as I'm concerned, she was standing outside and said, "Hey, come on in." I mean, Molly just be. I don't know. I'm sorry, because I thought it was the dude from last week, but turns out it's
in that dress she had on. I mean, if I seen her in that, if I was a guy, I'd probably holler too.
Yeah.
That dress was hot.
Oh, yeah.
Both she and Issa were slaying in that dress.
Yeah, I don't know who was better than it, but they were both, like you said.
They both slayed. They both slayed in that dress.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like about this show. It does give you some eye candy.
Hey, for you and for us. I was gonna say, because the men be doing their thing too.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Nathan had on his little tighty whities. I mean, they weren't white, but he had a little Calvin Klein briefs.
Yes. So it's unfortunate that Molly ended up getting the bad news that she got, because of course we find out her mom is in the hospital, and she's actually had a stroke. And so she also finds out eventually that this is not the first one. So that was a bit of a shocker for her. I think it was incredibly awkward and unprofessional of the hospital to get the families mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure what's going on here?
I know, he's like, are you sure this is not your mother? Like,
we know that our care is always a little different.
Yes, it is. Unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, but it's Molly. She's a takeover type or spirit. She, I can almost see why her mother didn't want Molly to know that, she was ill, because Molly can just, she wants to just jump right in and, just take over. So I guess.
It made me think about that whole discussion that she was having with them about estate planning. And it looks like, did they get it done? No. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. And look at this. This is exactly why she was trying to have the conversation with them about estate planning.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because Dad, he seems to just kind of take Mom's lead. Mom seems like she's the leader, but nobody's really making sure that the things get done. And I think that's kind of why they kept maybe Molly and her brother in the darkest, maybe because, especially if you listen to the after show, they talked about how in some communities, especially in the community, some people don't like to talk about death. They were saying, life is hard enough. We don't want to think about death, and people like, oh, don't talk like that, so
Mm-hmm. In
I
our
can
community.
understand why maybe some people feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
right. It's hard. I mean, it's very hard. And then someone does die, and then it's even harder because
Mm-hmm.
you go through
That's
probate.
what's even harder.
Yeah.
Trying
Yeah,
to take care of things after the fact.
yeah. And family, man, when that
Mm-hmm.
happens, oh my Lord, you talk about a war. But
Oh, and then especially having like I think her aunt was also at the hospital as well. And
or
when you
keeping,
have those other family members that are on the scene when there's a crisis, and sometimes they might make matters a little bit worse
Mm-hmm.
unintentionally.
but
Mm-hmm.
she's funny though. She said, I usually have a cough, but this one was more like a. She said, "Is that cancer?" Oh man, she's funny.
Yeah. So, and then to add on top of that, the fact that she's a professional, she has her professional life to worry about, and she's trying to strive in her job, but she has this crisis come up, and she doesn't want to necessarily hand off her tasks to somebody else, and miss out on an opportunity professionally. So
Here
I
we
guess
go.
that's a tough balance as well.
Here we
It
go.
is, but I think at that point, I think she needed to let him know what
That's what
was
I was
going
going
on.
to say. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for communication, why didn't you just say, "Hey, my mom is in the hospital." Da 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 da. I'm sure he would have understood, because if you don't say that, it makes it could be taken like you fumbled the ball.
Yeah, she never
Right.
wants
But I kind of feel like she was worried. Oh, go ahead.
No, that was saying she never wants to appear to be weak or not a team player, like she can't handle the task or the assignment. So I think it's hard for her to step back and say, no, I need to be here. Let somebody else handle it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that, and I think that she was afraid that he might insist, like, no, you take the time you need and do what you need to do, because I feel like maybe that's what anybody would do in that situation that's trying to be considerate, but Molly is a control freak, so
She is,
she's
and
gonna do her regardless.
right. She seems like it's difficult for her to allow other people to help, and that she takes a lot on. I was happy to see
Mm-hmm.
in this episode and the last episode or last couple episodes that she and Issa was showing up for each other. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Molly was being
Oh
a good
yeah.
friend to her when she was doing her event with Crenshaw. And even last week when she found out from what's her name? Risha, that she wasn't really with Nathan. Like, Molly was showing up for her. And then this week, Issa in turn was showing up for Molly. Like, coming to the hospital and supporting her while her mom was sick, and then offering to go to her place and get clothes for her and stuff. So, it looks like both of them are trying to do the work.
And then
Mm-hmm.
walking Flavor
And
Flav. I think
Well, she dropped the ball on that. She dropped the ball with Flavor.
yeah, she definitely dropped the ball.
I think she gave that dog an injustice
And
naming him Flavor Flav.
I
I
was
was like,
like,
I
don't
don't know if
stop.
I would have named my dog Flavor Flav. That's it. That's some shade right there.
That is shade. That is
Wait,
shade. But
shade on the dog or shade on Flavor Flav? Which one?
both.
Both.
Both. And they out here robbing Frenchies. They trying to take Lady Gaga's Frenchies and shot up her dog walker and stuff. And I was like, and for them to lose Flav, they are lucky to get him back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because
Because
people are
I'm like, I
snatching him
mean,
up.
they didn't seem like they was walking too hard to try to find them. The dog really
No,
found them.
Right.
the dog did find them because they were not looking for Flav. They weren't looking for Flav.
Flav dipped on him. He had somewhere to go.
Right.
Yeah. But you mentioned showing like Issa showing up for Molly this episode, and she definitely did in a big way. And I think we're starting to see like this crisis that's come up with Molly's mom starting to change her perspective of herself, because she started doubting herself, and she was like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I let my mom down. And Issa was kind of there like, do you see what this great apartment, this great career? Look at you. a put together one. So what are you talking about? Like, you have plenty to that your mom would be proud of.
What she talking about? Because in that episode, the same episode where Molly was talking to her parents about the estate planning, the mom was giving her the business about, oh, I'm not going to see you have a family of your own and get married and have kids and stuff. And that's what her mother really wants for her. So she's saying in that regard, I failed. Like, I don't have it. I'm the only girl. I don't have brothers. I haven't given my mother kids anything yet. So that's that's her viewpoint on that.
But I feel for her because I lost my mom before I got married, just before I got married and had kids. I can understand that feeling, because I went through the same thing. My thoughts were, I wish that I had her at least to see me get married, let alone be able to see me have kids as well. So I felt that.
Right.
That was
right.
Yeah, and then like from the perspective of like dealing with a parent or another person in your family who has had a stroke, like the doctor, when he told her that there's a possibility that her mom could have paralysis, like that's a real thing. That's one of the main after effects of a stroke, is like you have the paralysis and they might not be as independent as they once were. And then like certain brain functions I know can be a little slower than before. They don't have the same spirit as they sometimes had prior. And so I know that can be tough to see that change in your loved one. And even for them, because they don't feel as independent, they feel dependent on people. They feel like they're a burden. And so I don't know what's going to happen with Molly's mom once she kind of regains consciousness. But if it turns out that she does have paralysis, that's going to be a big change for their entire family.
Yeah.
I
think it'll definitely help Molly change her priorities.
It definitely will.
For sure. And we talked a little bit about Nathan and Issa. So at the beginning of the episode, they were kind of like, it seems like more so on Issa's part, she was trying to be very mindful of Nathan's space and trying not to move fast, considering how they kind of just jetted into things initially. So it's interesting to see how they're trying to navigate this new frontier in their relationship. And especially when Issa's mom was on FaceTime and she was like, "Are you Issa's boyfriend?" And he kind of stepped into the role.
Yeah, he did. And I think Issa was trying to give him his space too, because, his pattern has been to run, to back away, to disappear and stuff. And I think she was just like, hey, I can go and do this. Molly and I had plans anyway. And it seemed like he was kind of trying to reassure her, like, I'm good. I don't have this to go. I mean, I think he was trying to let her know I'm here.
I think Nathan is good for Issa. He seems to relax her, and they seem to get along well. I know Lawrence might be her heart, but I just somehow see Nathan being better for her in terms of emotionally. So I don't know.
He was so supportive this episode too, picking her up and dropping her off. It was just like being there for her. It was like a very kind gesture.
I think when he's good, he's always been that for her.
Right.
When he was in a good mental state, I think that seems to be his norm. It's the other issues that he was having that kind of took him out of that space for her.
Yeah, and it seems like people don't like, if you see the previews for next week, you see the guy in the barbershop just kind of snapping on with your bipolar. I was like, whoa, like you throwing his mental health in his face. So it's like,
I got a spot waiting for him on the hands list already. I off his name on the list.
He deserves it. He deserves it. Because I was like, so now you're weaponizing his mental health and stuff, and he probably already is, insecure or worried about that, and constantly trying to prove to people that I'm good. I'm not the same person. Like even last week we saw with his cousin, he was trying to let him know like I'm good, and then he's trying to reassure Issa, and then doing this delicate dance, and then it's being thrown in his face.
But you know, it's funny
Yeah.
that barbershops are just like that. I had a barber that in the shop, it was just like that. And you would go get your hair cut, and if somebody had an illness, you know, the first thing they'll do is chop up on that illness and, you know, and just make fun of it. It's a real experience in barbershops these days, and a lot of inner city barbershops. You get a lot of that.
That's not cool.
unfortunate.
That's not cool. Because I
Right.
used to take my son to the barbershop when he was young, and you know, most of the time they mainly talked about sports, and you know, I like sports, so I would jump in their conversation. But we would have fun at the barbershop and stuff. So I'd never seen that.
Yeah, I have. I mean, like you said, they talk a lot about sports. If you're a sports lover, barbershop's a place to be. But if there's no game on and something happens, you know, they'll jump on each other in a minute. You know, I've seen fights break out, you know, between barbers because
Lord,
it's crazy. But
And, you know,
what you saying?
I wanted to comment on one thing with Nathan and Issa, because you mentioned, you know, her wanting to give him space and maybe for not wanting to rush him into claiming the relationship. But she kind of like slipped up and told him she loved him, but he didn't respond back.
I think he was so shocked.
Like,
I would too.
The look on his face. The look on his face.
Yeah.
Looked like he was shocked. Like, wow. But he smiled like he received it. But he was shocked because they're kind of going fast. I mean, they just really started talking again.
But I think she meant it, but I don't know if she meant it like that.
Me too.
Right.
I thought the same thing. I was like,
I love you, and
him.
It seemed more appreciative kind of love.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It's like, that's why I love you. I think she loves him. I'm not sure that she's in love with him. I still believe that she is in love with Lawrence. And that's why you saw what happened when she saw, as we said it was going to come a time that she was going to run into Condola and Lawrence together. And you see, she was shook.
Yeah.
She was shook.
Yeah.
So I was like, this ain't going to bode well for Nathan. Their relationship.
Which is really why you got to ask yourself, I mean, really, should she be even trying to start a relationship with Nathan? Because those doors aren't closed. And look, to see that face of her, she looked like she was ready to drop when she saw Condola.
That's what I
think. And Lauren,
the song that they played at the end of the episode, "Ooh, child," like that was my exact feeling. I was like, "Woo."
I know, her heart dropped and stuff. And Lawrence's face. Look what's funny. Shout out to Jay Ellis, because when it happened, I was like, "Oh no, Lawrence and Condola," and he liked the tweet.
But you know what? The X always shows up right when you move on. It's like the minute, the second you do it, they show up.
Clockwork. It's like I don't know what's in the air, what type of timing they got. I don't know, but they always seem to pop up when you seem to have moved on.
It's a test.
Exactly.
It's a test.
It is a test.
The test
I always
comes
say
in.
that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I passed the test. I passed the test.
I didn't pass the test a lot.
And
I didn't always pass the test. But most of the time I passed the test. I'm like, pass the test.
If you guys see the previews for next week, it looks like she kind of interrupts them maybe on their way out.
She's like, "Hey,"
and I'm like, is this real or is this one of Issa's?
I was doing the same thing. I was like, is this a mirror thing? Is she imagining this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have to ask yourself, why would she do that to herself? Because if she were to interrupt, if this is real, then she'd probably want to go over and see the baby, and that's just gonna, beat her up even more when she gets alone.
And the baby's cute. The baby was cute.
The baby's real cute. And you can't help to hold the baby, even if you don't want to hold the baby. She's gonna want to hold the baby.
But
that's a scene. I wouldn't want to see that scene either. Not that. If that was me, my heart would be broken too.
I want to see it.
I was saying, I'm sorry, Lawrence was as shook as she was.
He was. Sure was. He was shook.
But for a moment, I thought he was going to go after her.
He looked like he almost wanted to stop and stay in the hallway and chase after Issa, because Condola's kind of like, "Are you coming?" And he looked like he wanted to stop and maybe go after her, but then he ended up going into the office.
I see.
Oh my
I
goodness,
love
they were
like
looking all like happy family, and I'm like,
and the problem is a love like that will haunt you for the rest of your life. You will never get over it. And it's just one of those things. You may be able to move on, but you will always remember that love, and you're always going to have it, inside you. It's a haunt. It just will haunt you forever.
Yeah, I
Yes,
wonder
and
what
I'm
could
looking
be.
at the comments here.
mm,
I'm looking at Kelly Jordan's comment because she's saying Issa needs to be healed of her relationship with Lawrence before she starts with Nathan, and
right.
she's
Okay,
absolutely correct because she said she
I was
doesn't think
reading
it's
it
fair to
too.
Nathan,
that's what I'm
and
saying.
I don't think it's fair to Nathan either. We said this last week because Nathan is so fragile right now, and I feel like this could really tear up any progress that he's made.
Agreed.
Well,
I was okay with it until she said the "I love you" part. I was like, okay,
and
Yeah, because that's like mixed. It's mixed signals. I feel like she had been giving him mixed signals all along, and we knew that was going to happen. We knew Lawrence was going to come back. I mean, we knew she was going to run into him, and then her feelings was going to be all, and he's going to feel it. Nathan's going to feel away. Going to be like, okay, you talk about you love me, but you shook up soon as you see him. Like you're not ready.
And that word
Yeah.
is like a double barrel shotgun, because it could mean something to you and mean something entirely different to the person you said it to. Just like you said, she may. In fact, I like what you said, because I say it all the time. There's a difference between being in love with somebody and loving them.
Mm-hmm.
Being in love, I think
Mhm.
that takes time to develop. It takes time to build. You don't just you may love a lot of things about a person, the way they act, the way they look, the way they keep themselves, the way they keep their house. But to be in love with them, you got to go through some things, and that's when your love starts to really grow and build. So for Issa to say, that's what I love about you, and Nathan took that to heart. You could see that on his face. I mean, it was like, okay, I'm finally here. I've arrived,
Yep.
and
Mm-hmm.
he's nowhere near the front door as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she said
It's
Issa
gonna
has
be
to
tough.
understand.
Next week might be kind of hard to watch.
Say again. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying next week might be hard to watch, especially if Issa's little the scene is real. If it's real and it's not replaying it back in her mind, that's gonna be tough to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I kind of like that about Issa, the character here. She doesn't mind pulling the Band-Aid off. You know what I mean? She will, it may take her a minute, but she will confront an issue,
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
think one, she may be insecure, but I think she's very brave and very bold in that regard.
I like the analogy.
Yes.
She'll take a Band-Aid off on a cut that still is healing, that's trying to heal.
Yeah.
That's I get it. It is, but it can be sometimes just very wayward or disruptive, because I hate to see what happens to Nathan. If Nathan ever comes, if she ever hurts Nathan, I would hate to see where that goes with him.
I think it's no coming back from that. If she hurts him this time, and stuff with that, I think because it's already been some back and forth with them, I think he will probably be truly done with her this time.
Yeah. But when I go back to when Nathan first showed up, he did kind of mention that, he was like, I kind of jump into things. So I think that's probably his MO too. And he kind of told him he was trying to take it slow because he has a habit of doing that. So maybe he is one of those guys that, kind of zeroes into somebody like a serial monogamous and just falls for him like that. So
and help me. Did he ever share with Issa his condition?
Yeah, he did.
So she's aware of it.
Yeah, that's why I think she's doing that dance. I think she's trying to be sensitive to that and give him his space. When she was like, "Oh, we have plans," because he had the tendency to kind of just dip on people, and so I think she was trying to give him a little grace and space.
And I'm looking at Money Matters comment about she says she thinks that Nathan was doing a lot by him telling Issa's mom that he was her boyfriend. And I'm like, well, she kind of put him on the spot. I mean, he could have probably said, you know, we taking it, you know, we're
Listen,
getting to know each other.
parents and family
I think
can do a lot anyway.
Yeah, but he didn't have to say yeah. I mean, he could have.
No,
said,
he didn't have to say yeah, but he probably didn't know what to say. He probably was trying to he thought he was giving Issa some space, because that could be awkward, because parents and family can put a lot of pressure on you too. They can, especially if you're single. Oh, well, who are you seeing? When are you getting married? Do you have any suitors in mind? Like they can put pressure on you as well. And so I think he thought that he was helping by saying that. Not saying he was right, but he might have thought he was helping Issa out, and then he probably thought he also was reassuring her.
Well, that's a lot.
And you know what's interesting?
It was a lot.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And I was gonna say, what's interesting about this episode though is that Molly's situation with her mom being in the hospital kind of made Issa want to reach out to her own mother and try to, you know, mend that relationship and try to spend more time. Then we more about Nathan's relationship with his own parents, and it seemed like his father was maybe like really overbearing. We don't hear anything about his mother, but his father sounded like he probably could have contributed to some of the issues that he has.
Yeah, borderline abusive, you know, if not.
Yeah. So it's just interesting how we're getting to find out these little tidbits along the way, and it helps us understand the characters a little bit more. And so I was even thinking about for next week, Issa, she still has the professional side of her work life that's kind of in the way, where she's reaching out to a group of younger people and she's asking them, and they're like, oh, weren't you the one that was involved with, you know, Crenshaw's event? And she's like, yeah, and they kind of like back off her. And so
somebody was spitting on the ground or whatever too. I was like, yeah. What is this?
I mean, the way that he kind of trashed her in the media is kind of affecting her brand.
Yeah, and that's why
she's trying to clean up that situation with him.
Yeah, which might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, it looks like she paid him a visit.
Yeah, she did.
Too.
Yeah, but we know Crenshaw is a trip, and he's not going to let her off easy.
I think one of you predicted it, or not predicted, but thought that she could get with Crenshaw. I don't know which. I don't remember.
It's a possibility, because it could be that tension. Sometimes it's an undercurrent. Even if it seems like the surface that you beefing and this, that, and the other, sometimes it could be an undercurrent thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up turning into something. I don't know if anything deep, but
so it's just topical, a physical relationship.
I mean, I don't know if it's just physical, but I mean, it could be something. It could be something.
It's rare that a man kind of attacks a woman like that.
Yeah, that is true.
You know, that behavior, it's a, you know, not he likes her or something.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I think we're going to see something.
But he's not good for her. I can tell you that now. He will not be good for her. If Issa was my daughter, I was like, no, you gotta.
He like trashed her after she helped him. So
yeah,
not the one.
And to everybody too on social media, like, tarnish the brand. What's going on with that?
And then there was another clip for the previews for next week. It looked like Molly is looking for somebody, like the owner of a watch or something like that. I wasn't quite sure what all that was about. But I was like, is this, you know, one of the guys that she has, you know, had over or something like that?
Yeah.
This is Sharon.
Yeah. You know, hey, I mean, look, she's quite free-spirited, and I can't argue with it, because most men at some point of time, we were the same way. You know, you don't see it very often in women, but I'm not hating on her. You know, she's getting it in. One day she may not want to. So hey.
You know, I think she really want a relationship. The thing is, I don't know.
What kind of relationship does she want, though? I mean, you can't be like hitting and quitting all the time and then talk about you want a relationship at the same time. At some point, you got to slow that wagging down and you know,
I think with them, she's not looking for anything more than the physical, but I think she's still looking for that person, and she's loving the
Yeah.
one she's with right now. I think that's what she's doing.
And you know, my Money Matters, she kind of commented a little earlier about Andrew, and I'm still holding out hope for Molly and Andrew because
Me
you know,
too.
Money Matters, you're right, because she said, you know, he was good for Molly, and I agree.
But LaWanda made a good point.
I don't know
Is
if
Molly good for him?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe new Molly will be good for him.
Yeah,
Maybe
she is
with her
trying.
and her new mindset.
Yeah, she's trying.
Because I feel like life comes at you fast and you have to adapt fast. And so I feel like she could quickly shift her priorities and reevaluate like how she's been acting. It seems like she's already made progress.
And
But
especially with
once
her
she
mom being sick.
yeah. So
Because
I'm
that was
still
like when
holding out hope.
yeah, I mean, when you face the fact that you know you can lose a parent, a loved one, and stuff. I mean, you start thinking about things, and again, thinking about. You see, she started talking about laying down roots. I don't have a family. I don't have this. That might start have her, you know, reflecting on her priorities and things. She might be like, hey, you know what? Andrew was the one for me, or whatever, and she may revisit it.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed. I think Andrew is on to something else.
He might. She would have to show him that she was just like she's proven herself to Issa and everything. She would have to really show him that she's a different Molly.
I don't know that
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's a lot.
Oh, it is a lot because she messed up with his family too. Like
That's
so,
amazing.
it's
Yeah.
It's not that I want to see her deal with somebody at her job because I know how important that is to her, but I don't. It seemed like she and Torian to make a
like there's something. It's like some, yeah.
Friction.
Mm-hmm.
They might.
Yeah,
oriented. They'd have that in common. At least they'd understand that aspect of each other's lives.
Hey, but I get it. Yeah, that might work for them. You know, they, you know, those what seems to be friction might turn out to be what she needs in her relationship because there's always something missing that you really can't put your finger on.
And Money Matter says
you
she
know,
might
I
just.
also what was
sorry.
that?
I'm reading the comment. Money Matter said Molly's just trying to get over Andrew, which is sometimes women do that too. They start messing with people and everything just to get over the last person and stuff.
Yeah,
That's positive.
you never want to be a rebound person.
Well,
You never want to be the rebound person.
No.
She's doing a good job then if that's what she's trying to do.
yeah. And you know, I was gonna say we talked about Crenshaw possibly being like a love interest for Issa, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. What if it turns out that he ends up being a love interest for Molly?
That would be interesting too.
Could be.
He's a little too immature.
I just think Crenshaw's too much of a hothead. Like right now, he's so
Yeah.
like
he's
impulsive. It seems like he would be too much of a hothead for Molly where
Yeah.
she is in her life now. But who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe Crenshaw in a relationship is different from how he acts professionally.
I think
Molly didn't cuss him out. Cussed him out like she did Andrew's brother.
Exactly.
I was just about to say that. You remember Molly talked about where she came from. She can get with Crenshaw.
Yeah.
I think it's a little too immature for her though. I just don't see that brain matter coming together between the two of them.
The brain matter.
Okay. Well, I think we covered a good majority of all the points that we for this episode. Was there anything else you guys wanted to add in terms of comments on the episode or predictions?
No. Nope.
Okay.
The prediction that we had came true. Them running into Lawrence and Condola with the baby.
Yeah, and it's not over yet. So I am so looking forward to next week.
Yes.
You can imagine if Condola sees Lawrence in the hallway with Issa, that's going to be a whole nother mess, you know, because they seemed like they were gelling in the hospital there, you know, mother, father, baby. and then here comes Issa, and Lawrence's heart just opens wide open. You know, that nose is wide open again. It's always going to be open.
Well, he didn't want the breakup. It was Issa that initiated it, so I think he's still nursing some wounds too.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I forgot one point about this episode because Issa was talking about her mom and her mom's divorce and how her mom was all over the place, and Nathan was like looking at her like, sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yep.
You get it from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this about Condola.
Same.
I was just gonna say this about Condola. That's a weird situation to be in because she knew what it was. She's the one that opened the door for him to go back to Issa in the first place.
Yeah.
And then when she told him about the baby, regardless of what he should have done, stepped up and been there for her or not, she knew what it was. It was a really messed up situation for everybody involved, but she can't say that she didn't know.
Right.
No, because and the thing is, when she started dealing with Lawrence was coming out of a 5-year relationship with Issa. They lived together and stuff. I'm not saying history is everything, but I'm just saying you don't just get over that. So that's tough.
And something in the back of my mind, and it's not that Condola is a bad person, but it was almost like she was very cavalier about the relationship until he left. And I think at some point, whether it was when she found out that she was pregnant or not, she realized this is a good dude.
Yeah, because she was making it, because he was trying to be, you said it before, he was trying to be serious at first. And then she was kind of like, I thought we were kind of just having fun, and I was like, oh, okay. And then when he went back, then it was time to get serious. It seemed like she wanted him back. Well, she wanted to at least have the conversation about the baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're at the midpoint for the season. We got 5 episodes left, and so we still have quite a bit to figure out where they're going to end off this series. Like, this is the end. And I'm like, where are they going to leave us? Is it going to be a happily ever after, or is it going to be the reality where everything doesn't work out the way you want it to? So
my prediction,
I'm wondering.
My prediction is that Issa will end up with nobody.
I'm thinking that too. I'm hoping that she'll end up with Lawrence, but I don't know.
And Molly will not end
I
up.
have a feeling too. Yeah.
Molly won't end up with
because
anybody.
it seems like Molly always gets the best, best ending. Molly has the great job, the great lifestyle. I kind of feel like Molly might end up with her happily ever after somehow.
I don't know, because I was like, I don't know if Yvonne was joking, but she said something about being mad at Issa about her ending. So I was like, oh Lord, as in maybe she was joking.
Issa always has a man. Oh, well. And what part of the show she's never not been? She's had Daniel, she's had Lauren, she's had Nathan, she had Airport Bay. Whether it was in a solidified relationship a lot, Issa has always had someone. Remember, it was Molly that had a hard time finding somebody. So that's why I'm wondering how will it end up? Because Issa has always been the one able to maintain a relationship, able to attract someone who wanted to be in a relationship. So that would be different.
Yeah, but she doesn't keep up with it. So that's the thing, and that's why I believe at the end. I believe at the end the end will be like the beginning. They'll just be Issa and Molly. That's it. That's their relationship right there. 2 of them.
Yeah, at this point for me, it really could go either way. I just know Issa's a realist, and she's gonna give you the real. So I'm expecting a realistic ending.
I know. I think we might still be crying at the end, though.
But the real Issa ended up married. So that's why I'm going with that. It's almost like, is it the reality that they end up with no one? I don't know.
That's true. But she did, the Issa did say on Breakfast Club that she didn't know if she could end up, deal with the situation with having the baby and stuff, that she herself probably wouldn't be able to do that. So I was like, ooh. So I was like, is that a clue too? That like That's something that she would not be able to put up with or be able to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I think that's gonna be the good part. That's gonna be what's gonna be the topic of conversation.
Yeah. Just don't Game of Thrones us, Issa. She said people told her that already. I don't Game of Thrones us.
Yeah, I think Issa's gonna make sure she does a good. I think she'll give most people the ending that will be satisfying, because I know she don't want that smoke when everybody's in her inbox talking about, why did you do this?
Well, you know, some people are never gonna be satisfied. You know, because there's some people is Team Lawrence, some people is Team Nathan. So everybody is not gonna be happy at the end.
Right. Okay. Well, like I said, I'm so looking forward to next week. I can't see wait to see what actually happens. To all of our viewers out there, and Kelly Jordan and Money Matters who have joined us live, thank you so much for watching. We definitely appreciate you guys. Please make sure you subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you get alerted every time we post, and like the video. Be sure to also check out our other recaps that we've done for today. We earlier in the day we did the Power Book 2 premiere episode for this new season, and we also did the season finale for BMF. So check out those recaps. We also have a bunch of great interviews with the BMF cast and also the writer showrunner Randy Huggins. So make sure you check out those interviews because they are the bomb. Do you guys have anything else you want to add before we close out?
Not me. I'm good.
Okay. All right. And I'll just add, just make sure you guys follow us on our social media platforms as well. We are at The Spot Real Talk on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok.
Oh, I do want to say one thing. We're also covering the American Black Film Festival. So stay tuned for that content too.
Good deal.
Yes, for that one.
Ladies. Gotta go. See you, ladies.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Love you too, Kelly.
Bye-bye.
Look at my neck bright. I get that check right. I'm so blessed, right? Off of that jet pipe. Off of that side. I'm in that new coupe. My nigga, I been fired. I said what I said, right? Yeah. I get that check right. I'm so blessed, right? Off of that jet pipe. Off of that. I'm in that new coupe. My nigga, I been fired.